All right, good afternoon, everyone. So, we'll be discussing today Bretton Woods Conference. This is a very important topic. From your exam point of view as well, Bretton Woods Conference was a major event. It was held in the year 1944 after the Second World War. And as a result of this conference, you came up with institutions like IMF and World Bank, right? So both IMF, World Bank were established in 1945 only. So it was held during the Second World War, 1944, in USA, New Hampshire, and 44 countries attended this conference. One very famous economist, as we've discussed, is John Maynard Keynes. Keynes is a neoclassical economist who came up with the Keynesian theory of economics, which believes that we need to sometimes intervene. The government has to intervene, the central banks have to do something in order to restore the economy. If there is depression or recession in the economy, everything does not work out on its own. Sometimes there is need for external intervention by either the government or by central bank. So they can either reduce the taxes or increase the government expenditure, or even central bank can reduce the interest rates to stimulate the economy. Earlier on, as we've discussed before as well, Adam Smith was a classical economist who gave this theory called the theory of invisible hand. We've discussed this earlier as well. According to this theory, the economy functions very well even if everyone is looking after their own interests, selfish interests. Still, the economy will keep on functioning really well. Even if there is a depression in the economy, recession in the economy, that will resolve on its own according to classical economic theories, such as the theory of invisible hand given by Adam Smith. But according to John Maynard Keynes, there is need for external intervention. And he was the one who came up with this idea of Bretton Woods Conference, in which more than 44 nations attended. And as a result of this, we'll discuss organizations like World Bank and IMF were formed. Aim of this conference was to have international cooperation to build such an economic system that is stable and functions really well, because during the Second World War all the countries were suffering and there was need for some external intervention. There was need for having a proper system. One very important consequence of this conference was the stability in exchange rate. It was felt that during the Second World War, a lot of countries were affected because of their volatile currencies. Their currencies were depreciating, and to stabilize the system, a new system of exchange rate was introduced. Fixed exchange rate system was introduced, which was later on in the 1970s, it was changed to a floating exchange rate system. Like in India also right now, USD INR and other exchange rates are affected by the market forces of demand and supply. Earlier on, this was not the case. Before the 1970s, from 1944 to 1970s, we had a system of fixed exchange rates where all the currencies were pegged with respect to the dollar. They had a fixed price. The key goal was to establish a stable currency exchange rate to promote confidence and stability in international trade and investment. And by stabilizing currencies, the manipulation of exchange rate was prevented. Nations during the Second World War, a lot of countries were having this currency war, trade war, where they were trying to devalue their currency. Why would they like to devalue? Yes, Vaibhav? To promote their exports, right? So they were looking to devalue their currency, and this resulted in a lot of damage to the global economy. During the Bretton Woods Conference, people came together and they believed that if we have a stable exchange rate system where countries are not participating in this kind of war, exchange war, then we would have more stability in the global financial system. And finally, to boost financial safeguards to prevent another financial crisis like the Great Depression, which happened in 1929. So a fixed exchange rate system, or the Bretton Woods exchange rate system, was formed as a result of this conference, Bretton Woods conference, and that time the price of gold used to be $35 an ounce, and that was the rate at which dollar could be converted into gold. And all the other currencies were, with respect to dollar, they were fixed. Then IMF was formed. We've discussed in detail what is IMF, to maintain liquidity in the financial system. If any country needs funds to meet their short-term liabilities, then IMF plays a very crucial role. To promote exchange rate stability, to oversee global monetary system, and to provide temporary financial assistance in case of short-term deficits, or BOP crisis as well, balance of payments crisis, which includes both the current account and the capital account. And then World Bank was also formed in 1945 as a result of Bretton Woods conference. And World Bank, as you've seen, it's a big group. It has IBRD, it has IFA, it has IDA. So there are different organizations within World Bank, but the basic purpose of IBRD is to, what is that? Yes, to maintain long-term growth and inclusive development of the country, to reduce poverty, to promote better education, healthcare facilities within the country, to have better infrastructure, right? So overall, uniform growth of the economy, a balanced growth where people are not lagging behind, there is not poverty has to be reduced. That is the main function of World Bank. Another major, so these are the major features of the Bretton Woods system. First is pegging to the US dollar. The currencies, all the global currencies were fixed with respect to the US dollar, and US dollar would be convertible into gold at the rate of $35 per ounce. Yes? US dollar was used to be the most powerful currency that time. In 1945, US bombed Japan, and they were the most emerging economy that time, right? That is why US dollar was the most important currency, and all the other currencies were fixed with respect to dollar. And ऐसा नहीं है कि all the other currencies were completely fixed. They were allowed to fluctuate little bit, but within a fixed range only. Maximum up to 10%. That was fixed. And this was to reduce the exchange war which was happening between countries. They were all trying to devalue their currencies to promote exports, and this should not happen. To prevent this kind of situation, they were not allowed to change it enough. Otherwise, if devaluation, any country wanted to do devaluation more than 10%, they would need to take permission from IMF. And even the market value of the currency was fixed within a range of 1%. They could not fluctuate more than 1%. Otherwise, it would lead to a lot of instability in the system. Even nowadays, if you look at USD INR, when rupee is depreciating very fast, RBI intervenes. They buy and sell dollars to stabilize the currency. This is again the similar kind of system was there, but instead of central banks intervening, it was fixed in a way. The major impact of Bretton Woods agreement was that there was economic growth and recovery in European countries, in Japan after World War II. As we know, there was widespread damage in Europe, in Japan, and the framework stabilized all these economies. There was a Marshall Plan which was introduced after the World War II, which was there to stabilize different economies, to provide them relief and economic assistance. To supplement this, Bretton Woods Conference complemented this. Stability in exchange rate was obviously there, we discussed this. creation of international financial institutions like World Bank, IMF, expansion of global trade. Global trade will, if there is less exchange war, there is more stability in the system, all the economies start doing well, then automatically people will start demanding more, economies will import much more if they are stabilized, if they are growing very fast. If there is less instability, that will even encourage countries to reduce the barriers, tariff and non-tariff barriers that we've discussed in detail. Otherwise, if there is a lot of instability, currencies are fluctuating, somebody is devaluing their currency, that would lead to a lot of protectionism, and countries would like to impose tariffs and other kinds of barriers. So, expansion of global trade was the result of Bretton Woods conference, and dominance of US dollar. After the Bretton Woods conference, dollar became even more powerful. As we know, out of the capitalist economies, US is one of the oldest ones, right? Do you know when it gained independence? Yes, US. It's been more than civil war हुई थी, किस टाइम हुई थी? Any idea? It's been more than 350 years जब से ये independence मिला है US को. India को it's been hardly 70 years since independence, but US has been independent for more than 350 years. Huh? Independence, it was again ruled by British. You don't know? Huh? So yes, exactly. So they were controlling globally all the powers, and out of all the capitalist economies, US was the oldest, biggest capitalist economy. So it gained independence around the 1700s, and it's been more than 350 years since US has gained independence. And after the Second World War, US was one of the most powerful economies even that time, right? So that is why dollar, because all the currencies were pegged against dollar, it became much more important. Even now, which are the 4 most important currencies I've told you? Yes, pound, euro and yen. These are the 4 most important currencies globally. और जो भी forex trading होती है, even if you want to do trading in forex markets, these 4 currencies, even INR के against you will see, if you trade on multi-commodity exchange in India, you can trade in these 4 currency pairs. USD INR, Euro INR, you can trade in Japanese Yen INR and GBP INR, right? So after the Second World War, European Asian countries were not doing well, but even the US was having trade deficit. As a result of this, there was a need felt that there has to be some initiative taken to stabilize currencies, to introduce new institutions in order to help out different countries. And that is when, especially after the Vietnam War, especially after this crisis in European countries and countries like UK and France lagging behind, that is the time when this new Bretton Woods conference was introduced. After the Vietnam War, this even the speculative attacks were there. Since US dollar had become very important globally, that is when speculators started betting on dollar. They were either buying or selling dollars, and US was running out of gold reserves. Like we have seen, all the currencies were fixed with respect to US dollar, and US dollar was only convertible into gold, right? So, and this because they were running short of gold reserves, all the other countries were accumulating dollars, and US would need to have all the gold reserves to meet any kind of demand from other countries. If they are exchanging dollars, they would have to provide gold. But they were running short of gold reserves, and that is when US felt that we need to abandon this system. We have to finish this Bretton Woods system and introduce a floating exchange rate system. Right. So this was in 1970s. In 1971, Richard Nixon was the president, and he ended this Bretton Woods system, and they came up with a new system of floating exchange rates. This we have seen. Key economic institutions were formed. US dollar became the dominant reserve currencies. All the countries keep on accumulating dollars. Even now, India has a lot of dollar reserves. Other currencies, other countries also maintain proper reserves of dollars. Shift to floating exchange rate. This is fine. And multilateral economic cooperation. सबसे रिजर्व्स किस डॉलर के यूरोपियन कंट्रीज में सबसे ज़्यादा राइट नाउ बाकी पाउंड सी ऑल द कंट्रीज आर मेंटेनिंग पाउंड मोस्टली उसी कंट्री में होगा यूके में होगा पर बाकी रेस्ट ऑफ द कंट्रीज आर मेंटेनिंग रिजर्व्स इन डॉलर्स ओनली पाउंड नहीं मैक्सिमम कंट्रीज आर मेंटेनिंग रिजर्व्स इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डॉलर्स नॉट because dollar is the universal currency right now. Everyone, even if you want to you want pounds or you want euros to trade with European countries or with Britain, then what you can do, you can exchange the dollars easily. So dollar के साथ anything can be exchanged. But if you have a specific currency like pound or euro, then it becomes a little difficult to trade in other currencies. Huh? Rupee is not so important globally. और अगर if you look at the value of rupee, do you know 1990s में क्या value थी रुपये की? एक डॉलर की क्या value थी? 20 rupees. Now it is 84 rupees. तो we have globally become poorer by 75%. अगर हमारे पास 100 रुपये थे उस टाइम पे, अब उसकी वैल्यू ग्लोबली सिर्फ 25 रुपये से भी कम है, 1/4 रह गई है. हाँ एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ गए हैं, दैट इज़ फाइन, तभी तो बढ़ रहे हैं, दैट इज़ वन ऑफ द रीजन बिकॉज करेंसी इज डेप्रिशिएटिंग, दैट इज बेनिफिटिंग एक्सपोर्ट सेक्टर, स्पेशली सेक्टर्स लाइक IT, like pharmaceuticals, gems and jewelry, handicrafts, they are being benefited as a result of this. But on the other hand, if you look at oil, if you look at price of petrol and diesel, we are importing oil from other countries, and because we are paying in dollars, our value of rupee has gone down and we end up paying much higher price. तो हमारे लिए भी पेट्रोल हैज़ बिकम वेरी एक्सपेंसिव, इट्स अराउंड 94-95 रुपीज़ राइट नाउ, है ना. तो आउट ऑफ दिस actually taxes account for more than half of this, around half of this. Actual value of petrol is only 50 rupees approximately, but rest we are paying GST, we are paying other kinds of taxes, and overall we end up paying 94 rupees. Right. So Bretton Woods conference is one very important topic that because of this conference, because of this Bretton Woods system, we had a system of stable exchange rates which benefited various countries, especially in Europe and Japan, which were lagging behind after the Second World War. It also helped introduce institutions like World Bank and IMF, which we have studied in detail in Unit 4. Right. This is again an important question from your exam perspective. You may be asked to write about Bretton Woods conference, or even if you are asked about World Bank or IMF, you can start by mentioning about this Bretton Woods conference, how this benefited globally and new organizations like IMF and World Bank were formed. Fine. One more important topic that we'll discuss today is related to sustainable finance. Exactly. This is green finance, sustainable finance is a new emerging theme, a very new emerging concept that has become really prominent over the past few years. Why is it becoming important? Okay, there are multiple causes. One reason is that climate change is happening at a very fast pace. There is a lot of pollution. We believe that if things keep on continuing in the same way, future generations will not be able to survive. And governments are realizing the importance of this green finance. Even companies are realizing the importance. Still, the main motive of companies is to earn profit. But they have now felt, they believe that if you do not do welfare for the society, if you do not work towards environmental causes or social causes, or you maintain good governance systems, it will be difficult to sustain your business in the long term. It will firstly be harmful for the environment if you're not doing it properly, and secondly, it will also harm your company, because in the minds of your consumers who have also become very aware, your company is not doing well. That is the reason Tata, because they are doing everything very ethically, they are doing a lot of welfare for the society, for the environment as well, different social causes. That is the reason everyone is trusting their brands, everyone has, their brand image has gone up. While some other companies, maybe Adani or some other companies, they are not perceived to be so ethical. And that is the reason in the long term companies believe that being ethical, working towards these environmental and social causes will be beneficial for their own organization. And now it is even mandatory by law for companies to allocate certain percentage of their profits for these kind of causes. 2%. CSR, they have to contribute at least 2%. Now, which countries are leading this sustainable finance? Which are the countries that are leading this? Is it, are these countries like India, developing countries, or developed countries? Exactly. There are countries in Europe, the countries like France, which are leading this sustainable finance. Similarly, there are countries like Japan, like US, which are taking a lot of initiatives to promote this culture of green finance. And what is meant by green finance? Yes, Vaibhav? No, not paperless. What is meant by green finance? Sustainable development goals. Okay. Green finance is providing finance to companies that are working towards social causes, towards environmental causes. And how can you provide capital? In various forms. Either in the form of green loans, in green bonds, there is also a concept of green insurance. There are various concepts related to environment. Green bonds are there, green loans, investment funds, impact investing, green venture capital, green insurance, green taxonomy, green banking. These are important terms. Everything when you are trying to provide funds to companies that are working towards social environmental causes, that is called green finance. Things like green bonds, green loans, even impact investing. Do you know what is impact investing? When as an investor, you are looking to maximize your returns. So for that, how do you select companies? You use either fundamental analysis, technical analysis, these kind of things. But one more way that some investors invest is that they look at companies that are doing social welfare. Exactly. They believe that we should not be only driven, as investors, we should not be driven only by the profit motive. Returns is one aspect, but you should also try to support companies which are doing something for the welfare of the economy and the society and the environment. If you have some surplus funds, you should not only look at maximizing your own return, you should look at social welfare as well. This concept is called impact investing. When as an investor, you are investing in companies that are doing a lot of social work, they are working towards the benefit of the environment and the society. Green venture capital is also similar. Venture capital, we all know, is when investors invest in upcoming companies, and if they are looking at companies that are working towards social causes or towards environmental causes, they are providing them capital. That is called green venture capital. Suppose there is a company which came on Shark Tank as well. There was a company which was disposing of menstrual pads for women. There was a company which was doing it in a very sustainable way. So otherwise, it is causing a lot of pollution. These pads are not recycled properly. So they have made a machine to recycle and use it properly. And they got funding as well. The main reason why VCs were funding on Shark Tank, was not that they were expecting a very high return, it was because it would improve their image as investors as well. Everyone will perceive these investors to be working towards the environment. That is the reason why a lot of new investors are looking at impact investing, because it boosts your socially also your image as an investor improves. Yes, let's discuss first green bonds. Green bonds are like normal bonds. You are providing a loan to a company. In return of it, they'll keep on giving you some regular interest. The bond is when you are giving a loan to a company and they give you some regular interest. But green bond is when you are financing, when you are providing loans for projects that are working towards the benefit of the environment. Same thing. Now, are the normal bonds more risky or green bonds? Okay, why? Why do you think green bonds are not risky? Green bonds are when you're providing funds to a company which is working towards social and environmental causes. That is called green bond. हाँ interest मिलेगा उसमें भी, but in case that project is not profitable, then you will not get your capital also. Exactly. ये तो बात है. So green bonds are much more risky compared to normal bonds, since the cash flow is not certain. You are working towards some environmental cause which may not give you direct cash flow. It may take a long time to generate cash flow for you. And as an investor, it is more risky, but you can get higher returns, higher interest on these green bonds. That is the reason why investors would like to invest. If they want higher interest, higher returns, then they can go for green bonds. Plus, as an investor, if you are investing in social cause, in environmental cause, it improves your image as an investor. Green loans are again similar to bonds, but these are being provided by financial institutions like banks and NBFCs. If they are trying to support any environmental cause by providing loans to the company for any project which is working towards the welfare of the environment, that will be called a green loan. Interest is nominal in this case, exactly. Interest in this case would be nominal because this is part of this CSR and ESG, environmental, social and governance cause. Similarly, CSR, corporate social responsibility. If a bank is trying to help out the overall society, maintain a proper growth and development, maintain to improve the environment, then this count, they can provide loans. Because they are working towards the welfare of the environment, they will be providing these loans at lower interest rates. Fine. And green taxonomy means sometimes there is a term called greenwashing. Do you know what is greenwashing? Greenwashing is when companies pretend to be helping the environment or social cause, but actually they are just fooling people, they are deceiving people. They are maybe saying we are contributing some funds to CSR, but actually these funds are being diverted and are being they are manipulating their financial statements. This is called greenwashing. In the name of helping the environment, you are actually looking after your own profit. And the reason why this keeps on happening is because we are not clear about these definitions of what exactly constitutes CSR, what is meant by ESG. These are not properly defined, and that is the reason the companies try to make use of all these loopholes. If everything is not properly defined, then they will try to make use of all the loopholes to manipulate their statements, to reduce their tax liability, to improve their profits and do all these kind of things. This is called green taxonomy, when you're trying to standardize certain terms across the globe. Fine. Standardization of all these environmental terms, all terms like CSR, ESG, these kind of things. Otherwise, if you do not do this, companies will misuse all these things. They will make use of loopholes to reduce their tax liability. Tax, nahi, they उसमें tax from the point of view of the investor you will get tax relief. Yes, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट का टैक्स कलेक्शन का पॉइंट ही क्या है? वाई डज गवर्नमेंट कलेक्ट टैक्स? टू हेल्प द ओवरऑल सोसाइटी, and you are also helping the society only when you are contributing in these green bonds. So you will get tax relief when you invest in green bonds. But the problem is in countries like India, you don't have options of investing in green bonds. This is only possible in countries like France, in developed countries like US and Japan, where, and there also it's a very new, relatively new concept. Okay, there are certain challenges with respect to green finance. Like I told you, lack of standardization, lack of definition. अगर properly defined ही नहीं है terms, companies will try to make use of these kind of loopholes and opportunities. Second is high transaction costs and lack of scale. Especially SMEs may struggle in developing countries if they are looking to help the environment, because they do not have enough scale in order to work towards the welfare of the environment. Regulatory and policy barriers are also present. I will be uploading all the slides on the group. Fine, so lack of clear policies, tax incentives or subsidies for green projects. Yes? हाँ हाँ लॉस हो सकता है एग्जैक्टली. हाँ हायर रिस्क है एग्जैक्टली. हायर रिटर्न भी होगा एग्जैक्टली. यू विल गेट हायर इंटरेस्ट एज एन इन्वेस्टर. वो कैसे कमाएंगे? Companies will provide you interest. They are investing in a project which is helping the environment. उससे जो cash flow आ रहा है, they will give you interest from that. पर problem ये है कि वो cash flow is not very certain, especially in environmental. If you are working towards an environmental cause, then the cash flow is not certain. That is why there is higher risk, but you can get higher interest as well. Fine. Then there are sometimes even governments, especially in India, are not offering proper tax incentives. जैसे टेस्ला है, टेस्ला को इंसेंटिव मिलता है कि वो इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल्स बना रही हैं, तो उनको गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से सब्सिडीज़ मिल रही हैं, उनको गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से टैक्स रिलीफ मिल रहा है. पर इंडिया में इतना कॉन्सेप्ट अभी इमर्जिंग नहीं है. ऑल्दो जैसे राइट नाउ देर आर हाइब्रिड कार्स इन इंडिया. देयर इज अ कार कॉल्ड टोयोटा हाई राइडर. There is one or two more cars are there which are hybrid cars. उस पे government has reduced the taxes. So the cost of these cars has become cheaper by almost 1 or 2 lakh rupees. The reason is again the same. They are looking to help the environment so that there is more sustainable growth and development. Limited data transparency. So investors are unable to find out what is the impact of their investment. If you suppose you are providing loan, you are buying a green bond, or you are doing some impact investing, you are investing in stocks of a company which is working towards environmental and social causes, you will not exactly get to know what is happening with your funds. You will not they will not properly even disclose how are they using your funds. That is the reason why investors are not they are hesitant of investing in such kind of things. In green bonds, they are not doing, green VCs are also not there. You're not impact investing is not happening very frequently. The reason is because investors are, firstly, they are not guaranteed of any returns, and secondly, even if they are getting good returns, they don't get to know what is happening with their money. How are these funds being used for the welfare of the environment? And then they are perceived to be higher risk projects. Green projects are perceived to be carrying greater risk compared to traditional financial institutions. And banks, other financial institutions will not give out loans. We have discussed about green loans. They will not give out loans unless they are getting guarantees from the company that we will be providing you everything. We are giving you collateral as well. We are giving you everything. If the banks do not get the guarantee, they will not be providing these green loans and funds to the companies. right? So United Nations Environment Program is a new thing which is helpful in addressing climate change and maintaining sustainable development. Yes. Green, yeah, this is only there in the last 20 years. हाँ, और लास्ट के 10 years में actually we look at Paris Agreement also, जो France is taking the maximum initiative when we are talking about green finance. सारे बहुत सारे new projects, new चीज़ें जो हो रही हैं with respect to this concept of environment and green finance is being done in France. So a lot of new things have come up like UNEP, United Nations Environment Program. इसमें they have given different, they are working towards climate change, they are working towards other social causes, other environmental causes as well. And for this they are partnering with different countries, they are spreading awareness firstly, they are having proper standards across different countries. And even they are asking countries to pledge their support towards environmental causes, that every country has to contribute. Otherwise, if only one or two countries like France and US are working in this direction, this will not be sufficient. To work towards overall global climate change, we will need cooperation from all across the world. Right, so sustainability linked loans are when companies are working towards ESG, environmental, social and government causes, they will get favorable terms while taking funds from other banks and institutions. They will get loans at lower interest rates. So lower financing costs and reputation is obviously boosted. Carbon trading is one more emerging concept. Carbon trading का मतलब क्या है? Do you know? नहीं, all the companies are required to disclose कि वो कितना how are they harming the environment, how much carbon emissions are they making. जितना every company has a limit कि इससे ज़्यादा there is a cap or a limit on the total emissions allowed for certain industries or sectors. Like in India, suppose automobile sector is having too much carbon emission, then they will need to buy carbon credits. Yes, they will have to, there is a trading system in which carbon can be traded. Agar if a company is producing too much carbon emissions, or if a industry like automobile sector in India is producing too much carbon emission, they will have to buy credits, they will have to trade in carbon credits, and uske liye they will have to pay a cost to buy the credits, otherwise they will not be allowed to function. Fine, so this trading system is there. This market mein, free market mein, these carbon credits are being traded, and companies who are not generating carbon emissions will be having surplus of carbon credits, and they will be able to sell to other companies, other industries which are producing too much carbon. They will need to pay a price. Whichever industry is producing too much carbon emissions, they will need to pay a price. Even Apple and Tesla have issued green bonds to reduce their borrowing cost. They will be able to raise funds at cheap prices. जैसे Tesla is producing electric vehicles which is benefiting the environment, and they have issued these green bonds to raise funds from investors. Similarly, Apple is also doing the same thing. They are working towards renewable energy as well, and that is the reason for that cause they are raising green bonds, they are raising funds through green bonds. So companies can work towards all these different causes. They can work towards solar power or renewable energy. They can work towards water, sustainable, even pollution prevention or sustainable waste management, right? So different causes are part of green bonds. Okay, sustainable finance principles. This is fine. So how can the government promote all of this culture of green finance and sustainable development? Exactly. They can give different incentives in the form of either tax breaks, they can give subsidies, they can reduce barriers to trade, they can do multiple things. And plus we have discussed about the concept of green taxonomy. If all the things are properly defined, then companies will not be able to cheat the government, they will not be able to save taxes by doing illegal things. Then disclosure requirements. Companies may be required to disclose exactly where they are using the funds and how is it benefiting the environment. Central bank can also work towards this. How they can issue guidelines for financial institutions. जैसे एक RBI has guidelines for priority sector lending, जो agriculture है और ऐसे sectors हैं which need support from the financial institutions. Exactly. So RBI is also providing guidelines to help these kind of sectors. Similarly, they can do a same kind of thing for environmental causes as well. They can direct their institutions, different banks and NBFCs to give out certain proportion of their funds for these social environmental causes. And even central banks can purchase and invest in these green bonds. Nowadays we have this expansion in green taxonomy framework. All the terms are becoming clearer by the days, and plus we are having technological advancements like blockchain and all, which will help in ensuring transparency, traceability and security. Sustainable investing and impact investing we have discussed in detail. Even big institutions like mutual funds, hedge funds, even insurance companies, pension funds like to invest in these kind of projects which are helping the environment. It helps in, suppose LIC is investing in such green project, everyone will perceive LIC to be very trustable brand. It will improve the brand image of different insurance companies, pension funds, different mutual funds if they invest in such kind of projects and companies. Yes. Offset ये है कि when if a company is producing too much carbon emission, they will have to offset it by purchasing credits from the free market. That is what. Okay. Offsetting emissions by investing in carbon reduction projects such as reforestation or renewable energy initiatives is gaining traction. So suppose a company or an industry is producing too much pollution. They will need to offset this by doing some kind of other activity. They can plant more trees, they can work towards other environmental causes. This is called reducing or offsetting. They can do one more thing, they can purchase carbon credits from the free market. Like I told you, जिन companies, जो company pollution नहीं कर रही हैं, they will have surplus of carbon credits. They can sell these credits to the companies that are producing too much pollution. The companies that are producing too much pollution will have to purchase these carbon credits from the free market, and for that they will need to pay a price. This will act as a deterrent. This will prohibit, the companies will like to restrict their pollution levels, their emission levels, otherwise they will have keep on paying a huge price for these carbon credits. And plus they will have to engage in these kind of activities to offset, to reduce their carbon emission. Right. China is also rapidly expanding in the green bond market. They are doing a lot towards renewable energy apart from countries like France, US and Japan. Government is also supporting over there. Investors are demanding these kind of bonds, and it is meeting the economic needs of the economy. And we have discussed about BRICS. BRICS is an organization of 5 leading developing economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Now BRICS is also helping countries like China in their quest towards environmental causes. So they are sharing knowledge across different countries. The BRICS countries are sharing knowledge between different countries. They are economically cooperating with each other. They are providing help in infrastructure support. They are providing joint investment to promote this culture of green finance in countries like China. Next, we look at France. France is the country that is leading green finance, and in finance alone, there are more than $40,000 million worth of green bonds right now. They are planning to achieve a carbon neutral economy by 2050. The meaning of carbon neutral is that जितना वो emission कर रहे हैं उतना ही वो reduce भी कर रहे हैं using by planting trees, by working towards other environmental causes. Overall, net they are planning to become a carbon neutral economy. Apart from having green bonds, they are having lot of disclosure requirements for the companies, that how are they benefiting the environment, what kind of risks are they trying to reduce. And European Union is again helping in green finance. In France, there is a European Green Deal which aims to make Europe the first climate neutral continent by 2050. And there is a EU emissions trading system. Like I told you, there is a market for carbon trading as well, where companies which are producing too much carbon emissions will have to purchase carbon from the free markets. So this market is there in EU, European Union, emissions trading system. Right, this is the future of green finance. You have mainstreaming of green finance, expansion of green financial products, technology and green fintech, carbon markets, greenwashing we've discussed, when companies are, because of lack of transparency, because of lack of taxonomy, sometimes terms are not clear, they try to make use of loopholes to save taxes. So this is about green finance. Again, this is an important part of your syllabus, green finance. You may be asked to write about the initiatives taken by different countries to reduce carbon emissions, to work towards sustainable environment. Right, so this I'll be sharing the presentation, both the presentations on Bretton Woods and also on green finance. These are again important, both are important from your exam perspective. Fine. Acha, Vaibhav, did you do that thing I told you? Personal finance wala? Nahi, you use calculator. I shared 2 calculators with you, fire number calculator and the step up SIP calculator. Use kya tha? Okay. Now go home and try that calculator. How will that help you? Do you know? These calculators. Huh? Okay. Fine. That's one thing. Okay. So this is something really practical that you have to try. How to do your financial planning. I told you, if you want to achieve financial freedom, you need to calculate how you will reach, what kind of figure you need and how do you reach to that figure. For that you will use these two calculators, fire number calculator and step up SIP calculator. करना क्या है कि you need to know, you firstly need to estimate कि मेरा monthly budget कितना होता है, how much am I spending every single month. If it's 50,000, let's take 50,000 right now. Yearly you are spending how much? 6 lakh rupees. 6 लाख रुपए का खर्चा हमारा हर साल हो रहा है to cover our basic expenses. That you will enter in the calculator your monthly expense 50,000. Fine. तो 6 लाख रुपए अभी हमें चाहिए, but suppose you plan to retire at 50 years of age. 30 years you are having, 30 years में, after 30 years, will 6 lakh be enough to cover your expenses? You will be needing much more. How much more will you need? You don't know? Okay. उसके लिए there is a formula of future value ना, future value is equal to present value into 1 plus r raised to power n. So if let's assume rate of inflation to be 6%. According to government figures, rate of inflation is 6%. तो हम 6% का रेट लेकर के for the next 30 years we will calculate कि ये 6 लाख रुपए की future value कितनी है. तो उस टाइम पे कितनी होगी? It will come out to be around say 30 lakh or something, 20-30 lakh उसके आसपास आएगा. Let's say it is around 30 lakh rupees. You can calculate that, the calculator will do. You don't have to calculate on your own. You will just feed कि I want to retire by 50 years of age. My age is 20 and my monthly expenses are 50,000 rupees. The rate of inflation is 6%. This will give you a figure कि कितना amount of funds चाहिए retire होने के लिए. तो अब हमारे पास उस टाइम पे हमें 30 लाख चाहिए हर साल के लिए. तो अगर हमारे पास 30 लाख होंगे, विल दैट गिव अस फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम? हाँ, इफ यू व्हेन यू टर्न 50 इयर्स ऑफ एज यू हैव 30 लाख रुपीज, विल यू हैव फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम? नहीं ना, वो तो एक साल में खत्म हो जाएगा. बट यू वांट टू कवर द नेक्स्ट 30 इयर्स ऑल्सो, तो यू शुड हैव 30 टाइम्स ऑफ दिस. ऑफ 30 lakh, 30 times 30 lakh is almost 9 crore rupees. You should be having approximately 9 crore rupees to achieve financial freedom. Because if you have 9 crores, you can keep on investing it further, and from 50 to 80 तो हमारा covered था ही. But if you grow it faster than inflation, it can even cover up to 100-120 years easily. If you suppose inflation is 6% and you are getting a return of 10%, instead of lasting for the next 30 years, it can last next 50 years as well. Fine. So let's say you are spending 50,000 right now, 6 lakh per annum is your expense annually, but at the time of 50 years of age, you will need 30 lakh rupees every single year. And if you have 30 times of this, let's say 9 crores you have, that will give you financial freedom. This is your fire number. So you can use the calculator. You will have to feed in 4 things. Ki what is my current age? 20 years. When do I plan to retire? 50 years. Third thing, how much is my monthly expense? And fourth thing, what is the inflation rate? This will give you a figure like 9-10 crores. Depending on your assumption, you will get a figure. Suppose 9 crore आया, तो calculate करना is very simple, but achieve करना is very difficult. How do you reach to 9 crores? तो पहली बार 9 करोड़ इतना बहुत बड़ा फिगर लग रहा है, पर एक्चुअली है नहीं. Right now, a 2 BHK which is costing you 1 crore will cost you around 4-5 crore that time easily. So 9 crore is not such a big figure. And secondly, how do you reach to that objective? That is the question. So tell me, how much will you need to invest right now? Abhi you are investing everything. How much will you need to invest, assuming you are getting a return of 15% every year? How much do you need to invest right now to reach 9 crores? You will calculate present value using the future value, taking a rate of return of 15%, and you will get a figure of around 5-6 lakh rupees. 5 lakh rupees if you invest right now and you are getting a return of 15%, you will be able to reach your figure. But there are 2 problems in this calculation. First problem is that maybe I don't have 5 lakh rupees right now. Then what do I do? And second problem, suppose even if I have 5 lakh rupees and I put everything in the market, तो कल को मार्केट क्रैश हो गई तो आई विल लूज स्ट्रेट अवे हाफ माई कैपिटल. अभी मार्केट इज एट 25,000, हाईएस्ट पॉइंट, ऑलमोस्ट हाईएस्ट पॉइंट, और वॉर तो हो ही रहा है, चल रहा है. वर्ल्ड वॉर 3 हो गया तो ऑल द मार्केट विल टोटली कोलैप्स, या कुछ भी हो सकता है, एनीथिंग एल्स कैन हैपन, कोविड 4th वेव और एनीथिंग एल्स कैन हैपन. एंड इफ द मार्केट क्रैशेज यू विल लूज हाफ योर कैपिटल स्ट्रेट अवे. तो अब बेटर तरीका क्या है? इंस्टेड ऑफ इन्वेस्टिंग 5 लाख रुपीज यू कैन इन्वेस्ट एवरी मंथ सर्टन अमाउंट. उसमें 2 एडवांटेज है. पहली बात, हमको 5 लाख रुपए स्ट्रेट अवे नहीं डालना, हमारे पास नहीं भी है तो भी हमारा काम हो जाएगा. एंड सेकेंडली, कल को क्रैश आता भी है तो बिकॉज यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग सिस्टमैटिकली यू विल गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ एवरेजिंग. आई टोल्ड यू एवरेजिंग, राइट? व्हाट इज एवरेजिंग? कैन यू टेल मी? एवरेज कॉस्ट कम हो जाती है. अभी 25,000 पे मार्केट है, यू बॉट एट 25,000, अगले महीने 20,000 पे यू बॉट एट 20,000, तो एवरेज कॉस्ट इज 22.5 हो गई. फिर इट गोज डाउन टू 15,000, यू बाय सम मोर, योर एवरेज कॉस्ट विल कम डाउन टू 20,000. देन इट गोज टू 10,000, यू बाय सम मोर, योर एवरेज कॉस्ट विल कम डाउन टू 15,000. तो उसका फ़ायदा क्या है कि 25,000 एवरेज कॉस्ट नहीं रही, 15,000 रही, और अगले 2-4 साल में जब भी ये मार्केट बाउंस बैक करेगी यू विल स्टार्ट गेटिंग अ पॉजिटिव रिटर्न. Otherwise, if you are stuck at 25,000, it will take a long time, maybe 10 years, 5-10 years for you to even break even your investment, right? So better way is to invest systematically over a period of time, and that is what the second calculator will tell you. Step up SIP calculator. SIP, you know? Yes, systematic investment plan. म्यूचुअल फंड में सपोज योर एवरी मंथ यू आर इन्वेस्टिंग सर्टन अमाउंट, दैट इज कॉल्ड SIP, सिस्टमैटिक इन्वेस्टमेंट प्लान. उसमें बेनिफिट क्या मिल रहा है? एवरेजिंग मिल रही है, और उसको हम स्टेप अप कर रहे हैं. एवरी ईयर वी आर इंक्रीजिंग द अमाउंट बाय अ सर्टन परसेंटेज. फाइन. तो सेकेंड कैलकुलेटर विच इज द स्टेप अप SIP कैलकुलेटर विल टेल यू मंथली कितना इन्वेस्ट करना है. 5 लाख एक साथ इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, दैट इज वन वे. अदर वे इज कि हर महीने थोड़ा थोड़ा अमाउंट किया जाए. अब वो कितना अमाउंट है, दैट द सेकंड कैलकुलेटर विल टेल यू. इन दिस यू विल हैव टू फीड 2-3 थिंग्स कि आई एम राइट नाउ 20 years of age, I plan to retire at 50, my fire number is 10 crores or 9 crores, and I am expecting to get a return of 15% per annum, plus I will keep on increasing my SIP by 5% every year. I will get an increment in my salary, I will get certain bonus, and I will get some promotion, and every year I can keep on increasing my SIP amount by 5%. So that calculator using this similar kind of formula, present value, future value, will tell you अभी कितना इन्वेस्ट करना स्टार्ट करना चाहिए. So you will get a figure somewhere like 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 rupees. So even if you start by investing 5,000 every month, instead of investing 5 lakh straight away, you will be able to reach your figure and objective of 9 crore by the time you turn 50 years of age. Fine. So use this calculator when you go home, both the calculators, fire number and step up SIP. तो this will help you understand कि हर महीने हमको कितना इन्वेस्ट करना है. एंड टेल मी विच इज़ द मोस्ट, इसमें हमने बहुत सारे assumption लिए, विच इज़ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट assumption? मार्केट स्टेबल है. ओके, गुड. मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट अजम्पशन इज कि हमें 15% का रिटर्न मिल पा रहा है ना, 15% मिल पा रहा है, वो बड़ा अजम्पशन है. अब हो सकता है हमें 5% ही मिले. अगर हम सिर्फ FD में कर रहे हैं हमें सिर्फ 5% मिलेगा, तो हमें 5 लाख इन्वेस्ट ना करके हमको अभी 2 करोड़ इन्वेस्ट करने पड़ेंगे. इफ़ यू कैलकुलेट इंस्टेड ऑफ टेकिंग 15%, इफ यू टेक 5% ओनली, यू विल नीड टू इन्वेस्ट 2 crores राइट नाउ टू अचीव 9 crores. तो ये 15% का जो अजम्पशन है ना, दैट इज़ द बिगेस्ट अजम्पशन कि अभी हमें जो SIP में भी अमाउंट आएगा दैट विल कम आउट टू बी अराउंड 2,000 to 5,000 रुपीज़ आएगा. यू कैन स्टार्ट बाय इन्वेस्टिंग 2,000-5,000 रुपीज़ एंड यू विल बी एबल टू रीच योर ऑब्जेक्टिव. पर अगर दैट इज अज्यूमिंग वी आर गेटिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 15%. इफ वी आर ओनली इन्वेस्टिंग इन फिक्स डिपॉजिट एंड गेटिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 5%, देन वी विल नीड टू इन्वेस्ट इंस्टेड ऑफ 5,000 50,000 पर मंथ. तो द बिगेस्ट अजम्पशन in this entire calculation is 15% return. ठीक है, तो you will firstly use the calculator, you will get to know कि मेरे को अभी कितना कितना इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए और कितना रिटर्न 15%, 10%. You can experiment with the figures. थोड़ा थोड़ा you will change the figure 10%, 15%, 20%. You will get different figures. तो then you will understand कि कितना परसेंट रिटर्न मेरे को चाहिए है, कितना अमाउंट मेरे को इन्वेस्ट करना है, एंड देन यू कैन प्लान कि हाउ डू आई गेट दिस 15% रिटर्न, हाउ डू आई गेट दिस 10% रिटर्न, हाउ डू आई गेट दिस 20% रिटर्न, वॉट एवर इज योर अजम्पशन, कैसे लेना है, दैट विल बी द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. फाइन. तो कैलकुलेटर विल टेल यू दिस मच कि कितना फंड्स चाहिए और कितना इन्वेस्ट करना है, कितना रिटर्न चाहिए. तो अब कितना रिटर्न चाहिए, दैट यू विल हैव टू see somehow how do I get this 15% return. Okay, ठीक है. चलो let's stop now. Okay, stop कर दें से. हाँ.